Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with part 2 of my Ultramarathon Extreme Achievement Guide. In the previous video, part 1, we worked our way through the first half of our storm prep for that first storm. So that was days 1 to 8, and in my view, they are absolutely the most critical, the most crucial. If you nail the start, if you finish that video and you're at roughly the same place in your build, you're 90% of the way there. This next little piece is crucial because we're going to survive through the first storm, and if you can get there, you're 98% of the way, and there's just one final hurdle to overcome, which is part 3, and then after that, you're pretty smooth. You're gonna be able to just progress up the tech tree. You'll be able to maintain warmth. You'll be able to keep your citizens out of the medical tents, and you'll have a thriving city that you can just ride to that 100-day mark. So, quick recap. What did we do in the first part of this achievement guide? In that previous video, what we did is we secured our first set of survivors. This is vitally important. You need to get the beacon up, you need to get your scouts out, and you need to find one of the locations that has survivors. Again, in my run, in most runs that I've seen, in the first storm wave, there are 3 paths where you can start. There's 3 locations in the Frostland that you can leave with your scouts from the city. One of them has survivors when you get 3 locations away. So you'll see the first one, you can go to a second, and it'll open up a third. There should be survivors there on at least one of those branches. And then again, I usually found another set of survivors on the second branch of one of the other paths. So use a little bit of save manipulation, save before you send your scouts out, find where those survivors are, and make that your first stop. Again, in my previous run, in part 1, I wasn't 100% efficient. I found the survivors on the third leg of one of the paths, but not the second. So I would recommend to you to be even further ahead, find where the survivors are at that second tier location, if there is one, and make that your first stop for your scouting party. In addition, back at the home base, we have been busy. We now have a wall drill, 2 hothouses, which are being operated by the children. Make sure you pass the child labor law because we need those bodies, and one of the most important things that they can do, the children, is run the hothouse to get your food supply going. We have 2 steelworks, we have 2 coal thumpers, and 4 gathering posts. And we picked our map, the crater map, and our variation of the map so that the 2 steel mills are right next to each other, which means we can put the 4 gathering posts in front of that and the 2 coal thumpers on just the outside of that, and you can cover that entire setup with 1 steam hub, which is critical because that means we can run that with limited coal input, and we will even run this during the first storm. We'll keep it going, and we won't get too many people sick, and we'll still be able to have a steady coal income because we are going to be running the generator and trying to keep houses warm. So being able to get as much coal as possible while that's happening is critical. With that recap out of the way, what do we need to do now on this last push for the first storm? Well, thankfully, there's not a ton that you need to do in terms of building structures at your base. The one thing you want to do is make sure you have enough housing for people, and by housing, I mean bunkhouses. One of the first things that we want to research now in this last push, definitely before the first storm comes, prioritize it how you like, but we want to make sure that we have bunkhouses for our people because the tents just won't cut it during the storm. No matter what you do, it's going to get too cold and you're going to have a ton of people getting sick, and it can cause a crash for your city. Bunkhouses will help you kind of negate that, and you'll be able to get through all of the storm if you have the other technologies researched without ever having them dip into that freezing status condition, which can cause a ton of your people to get sick and die. So you should have enough houses, again, clumping them, building them smartly, putting a fighting pit or arena in the middle so that it's covering everybody, keeping that discontent down. I left a location again in the middle for the prayer house so that, again, you're increasing hope for all the people that live around it. And you need to have enough for your starting civilization, your starting population, plus whoever shows up with that first group of citizens you bring back. And you can fit all of those people in 1 steam hub's radius, I believe. Maybe you need 2 at the very tip to be in the generators, first arc of the circle, but you can get by with 1. However, one of the things that we're going to push for is that second set of citizens before the first storm comes. So if you get them, make sure you also have housing built before they arrive, because it's going to be cold when they show up. It's probably going to be very close to the end of the pre-storm run, and you don't want people without houses or building houses when it's super cold out. So focus on getting those bunkhouses up, and I did actually have to extend to a second steam hub to cover those additional houses. Again, we're going to be bringing in more people, so be smart about those steam hubs. Turn them on and off during the day as needed. As long as there's no one unemployed or idle, no one will be home during the day, you can turn those steam hubs off and save that coal during the work hours. And then at the end of the work shift, turn it back on, because everybody's going to go back to their houses and make sure they have heat throughout the night. That means the main push that we're going to be working here for these last couple of days is technology and laws. And the main focus for the technology is increasing our heat output and our coal gathering power. The storm is coming, the temperatures are going to drop, and we need to be able to protect against the storm. We need to be able to keep the generator running, and we want to get people out of medical condition, medical tents, sick status as soon as possible. So that's the focus here for these last couple of days. As I said, bunkhouses are a high priority. Faster gathering is important because the gathering posts collecting coal from the coal piles of the coal thumpers will be affected by this. The medical post upgrade, a bit of a lower priority, but again, 10% off the time that people are sick means they're getting better before the next wave of sick people come in, which keeps you ahead of the curve and keeps you from getting slowly farther behind with more sick people than you can manage. We are going to need the tier 2 technologies. So get the drafting machines as soon as you have the resources to afford it. And we want improved heaters. We want the generator power and efficiency. Again, this will reduce the burden of coal that the generator has when it's running, and it's going to be running during that storm. We want to be able to get the generator to level 2 with that improved generator power. And we want to get the overdrive couplings so that we can still get a further heat level when we decide to turn the overdrive on, which again is going to save our bacon during that first storm. In terms of the laws to pass, most of the heavy hitters, most of the big ticket items have already been taken care of in that first day. If there's anything you missed or you fell behind or you needed to deal with some emergency situation, so you shifted away from what I did there, now's the time to go back and pick up any of those vital laws that you missed. But I also found this to be a good time to start to push into the efficiency side of the law tree. This is the religion or order. I chose religion just because I'm way more familiar with it. I tended to use that in almost all of my playthroughs, other than the 1 or 2 scenarios where kind of order is forced on you. So I know it way better, but if you like the order tree, go for it. You don't need to go religion just because I did. I just did it because I like it. And I know religion has the shrines, which are super great because you can put them down. Again, we've clumped our buildings very smartly, so you can put down like 2 shrines, and you're increasing the efficiency of your steelworks, all of your coal gathering plants, and on the other side, your food production and your wall drill, right? With just those 2. You can put a 3rd one down near your medical tents to again improve their efficiency and get people healed even faster. So I like religion. Get to the shrines. Now, one thing I will say is that steel is a little bit of a precious resource early on here. We just got the steelworks down, but there's a lot that needs our attention in terms of steel. We're researching and we're building those bunkhouses. The bunkhouses do, because there's so many of them, take quite a bit of steel, and that is certainly the priority over the shrines. So be careful about passing one of those laws and then needing the steel to build the prayer houses or houses of worship, whatever they're called. They're also a heavy steel investment. And then the 3 shrines, another heavy steel investment. Don't pass those laws and then run out of time to actually build the structures because you're behind on how much steel it is that you need. Make sure you've got a steady steel income. You can meet the requirement for passing the law and fulfilling the promise, and then do it. And those are great here to get into this run up to the first storm. As we're approaching that final push, keep an eye on your scout team. It always seems like you maybe can get that one last location and you'll just make it back in time, but that's not always true. The frost closes in and there's no science to it. It kind of closes in a radius that you can't really see on the map, and if it overcomes your scouts, they instantly die out in the field. And we really don't want to lose our scouts, especially if they are carrying precious resources, and double especially if they've got survivors that they're escorting home. So again, I was able to fairly comfortably, I found the first set of survivors on that 3rd leg of the 1 path, and then I found another set on the 2nd path I brought them home and that was it. I put my scout team back into the population because I didn't want to risk going for one more location right before the frost and losing them. When you do that, make sure you don't have to, but you can disband your scout party. They will, if you send out sick people, they'll come back sick, so make sure it's on a low impact day for your medical tents, but you can disband it. They'll go into the sick population, but you'll get that 40 wood back, which may be crucial to hitting that next research, building that last bunkhouse, right? If the 40 wood matters, disband that scouting party, get them into your medical treatment, and use that wood as you will need it, because you have the wall drill up, so you have infinite wood, but if you need it right now, that's a quick way to get 40 wood in your pocket. Another thing we want to focus on is stockpiling food. Whether you use the hunter huts or as I did, the hothouses, they will shut down during the storm. No matter what you do, no matter how warm, how insulated, whatever you do to improve those hothouses, they always turn off whenever the storm shows up. And when they turn off, that means they're super cold, and anybody working there is subject to become very sick or die. I think this run was a deathless run, but I had a hunter hut later in the run that I turned off, or was turned off by the storm, and I just had people assigned to it, but they went and sat in it and then got sick and died during the storm. So make sure that you're removing the people from those buildings or disabling them, turning them off so that the people don't sit in there and freeze their butts off during the storm. But because those buildings don't operate, you need to stockpile food to have it ready to just churn out during the storm. So extended shift on your hothouses, almost always. I would keep the soup going. It's tempting to switch over to those full meals, especially when you get a little bit ahead. You're like, oh, I can go back to standard meals. That first storm is coming and it's gonna be rough. I would stick to the soup, make sure you're boosting your production so that you have enough food. It's rather they have soup than have good meals and run out of food and go hungry. That discontent will rise very sharply. We will be able to switch to standard meals pretty soon, but not before this first storm. I would recommend against it. In the last night or two leading up to the storm, there may be a temperature dip and you may be tempted to hit that overdrive overnight to kind of keep people extra warm. Be careful about doing that. I would definitely recommend you save your overdrive for the storm. So you want your overdrive meter to be at 0 when the storm hits. So you have it available for whatever reason. Maybe you got behind by a technology and you needed to keep your medical tents running that first night till you finish the tier 2 generator power, or whatever the case may be. Save that generator overdrive, have it at 0%. I think you can run it for about 24 hours at the base level. So that's half of the storm. So you can cycle it on and off. You can kind of keep things kind of going in steady state, or maybe you turn it on when people are working if it's a little cold, or maybe they're warm enough when they're working, but they're cold at home. So you turn it on at night to keep them from getting sick at home. But whatever it is, make sure you save it for the storm itself to arrive. And the last thing, as I said, we are going to be working during the storm. We don't have to go and shelter in place because we have that nice tight grouping running one steam hub. And again, because we're going to be running the generator at a high capacity or high power output, we need coal coming in to the base. So have the 4 gathering posts fully staffed and working. Have the coal thumpers fully staffed and working. If you were able to get the second set of citizens into your city before the storm hits, you can probably also run your steel mills without any issue. As long as the coal is fully staffed, then you can do the steel work as well. You probably won't want to run the wall drill because that's a second hub just for that, because again, the hothouses are off. So otherwise you would like to run it to keep the food coming in, but you can't, you don't have the option to. So I would forget about the wood and the wall drill. Unless you're way ahead of the game, then by all means go for it. And instead just keep that one steam hub on, all 4 gathering posts. You can switch your children from the hothouses into the gathering posts, and then make sure you've got people working in the coal thumpers and the steel mill, and then you'll get way ahead. As I said before, steel was a precious resource. After this first storm, you'll have a big glut of it. I think I even got a little cocky here, and right before the storm, or as the storm was hitting, I was able to build a resource depot or 2 because I had excess resources at that point. So again, if you hit this just right, it can kind of be trivialized. It's still difficult, but if you get it wrong early, it's super tough to recover. So that's just kind of the trick to this one, and hopefully this is going to help you guys avoid those growing pains that I went through. With that, the rest of the run is here for you to see, and in the next video, we're going to do the full run of the second storm. All of the build up, how do we recover from that storm, what's the next goal, and then how do we survive that second storm as we build our technology and capacity to make this 100 days run to unlock Ultramarathon Extreme. So hopefully the video is helping. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.
Passed. Gather your tools. The shift is ending. sign. Brace yourselves. Cold is coming.